All right, you guys, welcome back to my channel. Nice to see you guys again. I'm doing the super old school, got my iMac camera and my little microphone, and this is how we're gonna do it today. So I thought it might be really helpful to kind of go over one of my lower body days, and this is my most recent lower body day in my cycle that I've just been doing, and this is my second lower body day. So I have a 4-day body part split where I just have 2 upper body days and 2 lower body days. And I have changed my training a little bit while going in my cut specifically to focus less on my strength rep ranges and a little bit more on my hypertrophy rep ranges. And the reason I chose to do that is because while you are at a calorie deficit, that's already a lot of stress for your body to handle. And when you're in that calorie deficit, your metabolism is trying to come up with compensatory mechanisms to kind of put you back into homeostasis. And this could be increased hunger. It could be you are not recovering quite as well. It could be not feeling as full, not sleeping quite as well. And all of these are going to definitely affect your training. So me specifically, I decided to keep kind of everything away from the rep range of 6 and under. And typical strength rep ranges are anywhere from 1 to 6. 6 is kind of that blend where you're getting a really nice strong stimulus, and it's kind of in the middle of like your strength and your hypertrophy. And I think I actually didn't even program anything less than 8 repetitions for this cycle. I really focused on anywhere between 8 to 30 repetitions, and I focused on a little bit higher rep range. Also, because my previous training cycle, I kind of focused a little bit more on medium rep range, and I figured it would still be a pretty good stimulus for my body to focus on high rep range because it's something that I hadn't just been doing. So it would be kind of a new stimulus for my body to have to adapt to, but while also going through a cut. So I figured it might be kind of a good little blend for me specifically while I'm going through my cut. So I've just figured I would kind of analyze the workouts and go over, or this workout, and go over my exercises that I chose and just have a little chat about them in case you guys are wondering a little bit more about how to build a workout and just in general, like why I picked the exercises that I did, etc., etc. My lower body is pretty evenly split between like hamstring, glutes, and quads. I have just a teeny bit more emphasis on my glutes because I've just been growing those for a while. I have typical squat patterns, hip hinging patterns. I also have a knee extension and knee flexion exercise. And then for my glutes, I added a glute rotary exercise on each lower body training day. So I have a lot of hip extension movements, and hip extension is great, but your glutes also do abduction and rotary movements. So in glute training, it's good to include those type of movements as well. Well, let's go ahead and get into the video. So the first exercise of the day, I've decided to pick Hexbar deadlifts. And I kind of wanted to do a power deadlift, meaning that I explode on the way up and just control the way down. So I'm starting off with a warm-up set after a kind of general warm-up routine. So I've just picked a very light set of weights to practice the movement and prep my body for kind of the heavier lifting to come. So you can see my feet are just directly underneath my hips. My back remains one straight line as I hinge down and up. From there, I'm just going to add some weight and go into my first working set. So with that deadlift, you just want to make sure that your arms stay tight down towards your body. You'll notice that my arms don't drift forward at all. That's going to help keep the bar nice and close to your body, and that is going to help reduce the compression in your low spine by keeping that weight as close as possible. And so I'm trying to focus on explode up and just bring the bar back down to the ground. I have 3 sets total here, and I'm doing them for 12 repetitions. The reason that I chose a Hexbar deadlift is because I've been doing a lot of deadlifts in my cycles recently, and the Hexbar is just a little bit less demanding on your posterior chain because the weight is more evenly distributed. Kind of if you were to divide your body from front to back, the weight is distributed right where that line would go. So instead of having the barbell in front of you where the weight is in front, that's going to place the most demand on your posterior chain. Because the weight is off to the side, that places just a little bit less demand on your posterior chain. So again, while I'm in my deficit, I just chose to pick something that wasn't quite as demanding on my body because I knew that my body was probably going to be fatiguing and not recovering quite as well. So here we have a Smith machine hip thrust, and I did this one because I wanted to do this higher rep. I'm doing this from anywhere from 20 to 30 reps and making sure I am going all the way up to 30 reps in my last few weeks. So I love the Smith bar for this because the bar path is really smooth. You don't really have to worry about balancing the bar like you would in a normal barbell hip thrust. And I did have to elevate my bench a little bit. I'm not getting quite as deep just because where the machine stops me, I'm not getting all the way down, so I'm not getting as much of a stretch in my hamstrings and my glutes, but that is okay. I'm still working through a pretty decent range of motion here, and holy cow, you guys, these burn so bad, but I do love them. So back to quads with a single leg press. And so I picked single leg because I just figured it would balance out a kind of bilateral stance that I was using in the Hexbar. Your Hexbar absolutely is still working your quads. And with this single leg press, I am working my quads in a little bit deeper range than I can in that Hexbar deadlift. What's really great about this particular machine is that I can change the point of resistance. So I've made the hardest part of the exercise right at the bottom, or actually, you can think of it as the starting point of the exercise where my knee is bent the most, where my quad is on the greatest amount of stretch. So that's going to be the most difficult part of the exercise anyway. And I adjusted the tension in the machine so that there is the greatest amount of tension during that deep stretched position. These are also high rep. With that Hexbar, I was doing 12 reps. This is a little higher rep than that. This is up to 15 reps. And I am just doing 2 sets here because I am pretty well balanced in my quad exercises between my lower body days. Moving on to another exercise. This is a hip hinge. It is a Romanian deadlift. So we are going to focus on like a single leg version at a time. This is called a B stance Romanian deadlift. So I am biasing one foot. I'm not kicking that leg back into the air. That's going to require a lot of balance and stability. And I don't really want to focus on balance and stability. I still want to focus on a little bit more strength and hypertrophy. You can see that I have used straps just for my grip because my grip is going to be a lot weaker than my lower body. And again, just as I kind of decided to do a single stance quad exercise after a bilateral stance quad exercise, I'm doing the same here. So I both did hip thrust and the Hexbar deadlift with bilateral stance. I decided to do this hamstring focus as kind of a single leg stance to hit them just in a slightly different way. So you'll notice I'm really focusing on pushing my hips back, and I am elevating myself on a weight plate just so that I can go through a greater range of motion. I am pretty short and my hamstrings are pretty flexible, so that bar needs somewhere to go, which is why I'm standing on that weight plate. And to finish off the workout, we are doing a cable 45-degree kickback. I am standing off to the side, which you can face the cable column. I was just kind of experimenting here a little bit, but I am focused on squeezing from my glute and kicking that leg back at a 45-degree angle, not directly to the side, not directly behind me. That is going to hit my glute med and my glute max both really well. And you are focusing on a little bit more like a lateral motion instead of just a pure front to back motion like a hip extension. So this is lightweight and higher repetitions. Okay, you guys, that is all I have for you today. I hope going over some of these exercises really helped you guys in your exercise selection and kind of understanding a little bit more about each exercise. And yeah, you can always leave comments in the question below. Please don't forget to like this video if you did indeed like it, and subscribe to my channel. And I will catch you guys in the next video.